Brian Watson joining us right now from North Star Commercial Partners. Brian, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So recessions happen, expansions, contractions. Recessions are part of a market economy. They are healthy. But it's how you get out and how quickly you get out of them. To Krista's point, should this recession of 2007, 8, 9, should that have ended a lot quicker?
Well, we definitely saw it in commercial real estate. It was one of the worst markets we suffered since the Great Depression. And I can tell you across the board right now in our properties, we own a few million square feet in and around the Denver area. And every single one of our industrial buildings is 100% leased, and our office buildings are quickly leasing. And I'm seeing not only activity locally and growth, but also companies from out of state coming to Colorado and wanting to be here. So I think Colorado has done a very good job about getting out of this recession. And I think we also need to keep in mind that with this report, unemployment rates rose in 30 states across the country, and only 8 states, one of which was Colorado, did it go in the positive direction of which we'd want to see.
There's a report out by mayors, the organization that is mayors from around the country, that basically said that states that have a Republican governor generally doing better than those with a Democrat governor, not exclusively, but it seems to me that small government generally, and we have Tabor here in Colorado, regardless of who's in public office, Tabor keeps our government from getting too big here. But would you say that there is a connection between smaller government and a more robust economy?
Absolutely. I think you're seeing it across the board, and I think being business-friendly is something that's absolutely needed. I think oftentimes in Colorado, people take it for granted in terms of they will assume that people will move here for our weather and climate. At the end of the day, though, you've got to be competitive just like the other states. Another thing I think is quite positive for Colorado is that this is the 33rd consecutive month of payroll increases in the state, and so not only are we having job growth, but these payroll increases as well. And that really creates, in my mind, one of the greatest values for Colorado's families.
Every one of these stats have its, depending on how you read it and who's reading it and for whatever reason they want to use it. And I'm not asking you to weigh in on this, Brian, but it will have implications, don't you think, on the governor's race here in just a couple months out?
I think it will, and I think sometimes, unfortunately, these numbers start going in the right direction, and it's partly because, the economy and the true entrepreneurs and people who are creating these jobs say, you know what, we've got to go make something happen. And I think Colorado's climate has been favorable. I think it could be even more favorable at the end of the day. But, we buy assets around the country, and I can tell you what we are seeing in Colorado is not reflective of a lot of these other states around the country. And again, I think we need to make sure that we do not take it for granted. It's something that it's a combination not only between, the government and its policies, but also with the private sector and business working together.
What do you make of the latest, at least in the business world, these corporate inversions? May not apply here, but big corporations like yourself taking your your headquarters outside of the United States so that you can bypass some of the regulations and taxes.
Well, I appreciate the compliment that we would be a large company, but we're, a small company here in Colorado, and we will always stay in Colorado because I love this state so much. That being said, states and countries, they need to compete, and that competition is healthy, and it helps to keep government in check so it doesn't become oppressive to the business and doesn't take it for granted, and those things are very important. And so, money and companies, they will go where they're wanted. And if you communicate that you don't want them, whether that be through higher taxes, whether that be through, not educating your workforce, et cetera, then those entities will go elsewhere. And I think every single day you have to get up and compete on that playing field, both for companies and employees, to create the greatest opportunities.
One of the things that I'm worried about is we are seeing things getting better. I think that the recession is growing farther and farther in our rearview mirror. I'm worried when Obamacare fully kicks in after the election that is going to take a bite out of this economy. Yeah. Are you worried about that?
I am personally worried about it, and I also, back in college when I took a statistics class, one of the things that the statistics class told you is never trust the numbers, and so it is with some of these numbers that we have. These numbers that have come out, they don't include the entrepreneur and companies, the smaller companies like that, and it also doesn't include some of the numbers as it relates to people going to part-time work, et cetera. And so I think we need to be smart about that, but I can tell you across the board, whether I'm dealing with tenants or companies, that is a primary concern for them. Not only the cost of Obamacare, but the very role of government within society. And, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated, at the end of the day, the role of government in American society is changing. And I think we need to be, very cautious of that, and we need to focus on pushing back where we can, because it will have its toll, and it will not be a positive one.
Back to real quick, and by the way, our guest is CEO and founder of North Star Commercial Partners, Brian Watson, who, I don't even know that we need to fully disclose this, but I think we're sitting in some of your square footage right now, are we not?
I think that you are. I actually,
okay.
The building that you're in, I bought, unfortunately, the lender, as an example, foreclosed on that property, and we went in and acquired, and that's what our main business is. We go buy vacant or distressed properties, improve them, and get them repositioned to create jobs and opportunity in them in Colorado.
Can you rethink the carpet color just a little bit? No, I'm just kidding.
I'll see what I can do, but I don't know if you want me selecting the carpet at the end of the day or any colors therein.
I think that was John Baggett, our general sales manager, that was responsible for this. But anyway,
I'll take it up with him.
Okay, back to these numbers, Brian, if we may, real quick. 5,500 payroll jobs. Now, it's always about the quality of the job. We hear this argument: hey, part-time, lower quality jobs versus real good-paying jobs with benefits. Can you read into that at all and give us a little enlightenment?
Well, I think so. I mean, you look at the jobs that were created in the private sector, and the greatest increases were in education, health services, professional and business services, and, those are usually good quality jobs. I will also say that if you look at it nationally, 211,000 jobs were created on a national basis in construction, and there is definitely growth within construction, not only residential, which is mainly the main growth, but also you're seeing it in commercial as well. And so good quality construction jobs and these other jobs are important. The ones that I would also say are vital to our economy are those related around energy. And, we just recently at the Opportunity Coalition, which is a nonprofit that I founded, had John Harple of Mercator Energy come in and speak last week. And he talked about the positive impact of natural gas. And those are good quality jobs. And I come from the western slope of Colorado, and I can tell you that those are the kind of jobs that are just so vital to a lot of those communities, and I think we've done a pretty good job of it at the end of the day.
Well, and when we're producing energy here, that also enables us to grow the industrial base because people like to locate those where there's good energy and a good workforce.
Correct. And it also equates to a lower cost of energy at the end of the day, and I think it affects your overall operational cost. I can tell you in the buildings that we own, we write some pretty high checks with regards to paying for those energy costs, and we try to be as energy efficient as we can, but the amount of that, it absolutely correlates to the cost of business within a community, which then correlates to how many jobs can be created in that community.
Hey, we are quick to criticize, but when there's good news, and it is good news, empirical evidence would demonstrate that, we're going to be quick to point that out as well.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what we have here is what I'm hearing, right, Brian?
I think it's very positive news, and I think the trend line is good as well. At the same time, you got to enjoy that for a moment, and then you got to get back up and get back to work. And so we want to continue to see that growth in Colorado and have smart, sustainable growth as we move forward.
North Star Commercial Partners. And what was the name of your nonprofit, by the way? That sounded cool.
The Opportunity Coalition, and you can learn more at theopportunitycoalition.com, and we bring in a speaker from around the state who has been successful, whether it be in academia or politics or in business, and they share ideas of how to promote Colorado and to have job growth and some of these very positive things that we're doing. And we host an event once a month at the Innovation Pavilion where over 80 jobs have been created in the last year, and my hope is that not only people will find find jobs, but start new companies and get golden nuggets of wisdom from some of these people. So I'd be honored to have anyone come who would like to.
Well, hey, I'd like to attend one of those at some point here.
We may need to have you as a speaker.
Oh, careful now. No, Krista does that. Hold on, I'm not cheap, but I'm easy. No, anyway, Brian, thank you very much.
Thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
So long. Brian Watson,